It's been quite a while since I've talked about Fairy Tail on this channel, mainly because I don't like to beat a dead horse too much for the most part when the series has ended, but there is definitely some stuff to talk about with the series since Hiro Mashima did go to New York Comic Con, had a couple of interviews, and was able to talk to some of the fans, and they answered him some questions, and well, the one that was kind of told about with Fairy Tail's ending is the one that kind of makes people freak out a little bit. Mainly we're going to be discussing, there was a few other details as well that I want to talk about, maybe might go into future videos with those, but I want to talk about mainly when he was talking about how Fairy Tail was only originally planned for 10 volumes, and also as well that he did not plan the ending in any way for the series, which could explain a lot of things about how Fairy Tail's ending is very lackluster, and it's seems like it's screaming for more, especially with more of the stuff from the interviews coming out from this. Now, I want to point out as well that the first 10 volumes thing has been out there for a very long time, but even before this interview, I want to say that was originally how it was. I mean, we even knew that was One Piece. One Piece was supposed to be kind of a short story as well. A lot of these people and all that start these series, they don't plan for them to go so long and all that, and that's why you see that got to build up these long, ongoing, big arcs of these characters, and some of the things come out of nowhere. And sometimes it works really, really well and all that. And then you get the Fairy Tail final arc, which is just a fucking mess for the most part. And the whole part of it saying, yeah, I had no clue what I was going to do with that ending at all and all that. I feel like with a lot of the time and all that, when it comes to writing, and at least when it comes to thinking about your series and where it's going to go from there, I like to think even when you start it, I know a lot, from what I've seen with a lot of authors, regardless if they say whether or not their series is going to end their series, when it comes to English as people writing novels, or whether it comes to books, or even anything and all that, I'm pretty sure, if we use an example, George R.R. Martin and all that, I'm pretty sure for the longest time when he was making the story of the Game of Thrones and all that, when he was making all those books, he had an idea where it was planning to go and where it was ending at some point. He probably had an idea with that. And it feels kind of are you fucking serious? Did you not plan for any of this whatsoever? And as well with the ending, how it goes with Fairy Tail, because people haven't actually read Fairy Tail's ending, I'm gonna just say it for the most part and all that, is that they defeat the the great big foe, but they still continue kind of on their adventures where it's yeah, we can still go, we've got more jobs and all that, we're finally going to take on, one of those S-class quests and all that, and it's kind of feels like something that was kind of left out of the manga. It's oh, they actually tried to attempt this, or no, it's going to continue, it's one of those endings where the adventure never ends with Fairy Tail, and some series do that where it's it's an eternal adventure and it'll never end and all that, and it's I can understand that, but it also seems as well, this is screaming for we're going to do more with this series, there's going to be a sequel. And Hiro Mashima has mentioned before, maybe this isn't the end of Fairy Tail. It was also as well in New York Comic Con as well, that this isn't the end for the series, and it was maybe there's more in the future. And I don't know, I feel at the cost of the series' ending, a lot of people really rather prefer and all that they had a more of a wrapped up ending. I know a lot of series do the same ending, which is main character gets married to one of the characters in the series, has a happy life, thinks back at everything, has an epilogue. But guess what? It fucking works because people like that stuff. I like seeing epilogues in series because it's I want to see what happened to these characters 5-10 years later. And to cut, I'm not gonna lie, there's a sweet moment in the last chapter of Fairy Tail. I'm not completely shitting on the last chapter because I did get upset seeing the ending and see I do care for most of those characters at the end of the day and all that, and I am gonna miss them. But just to kind of hold off that ending where it's don't worry, they'll come back either way. It seems a lot like Shonen Magazine was just hey, Mashima, and this is him as well, and he's fuck it, if any other series goes down, I can just bring back Fairy Tail, and he's just you know what, whatever this fucking editor is saying right now, I'm gonna listen to that. It's just, it feels really shitty about that, and I don't know, especially with some other stuff and all that we'll talk about later and all that with some more Fairy Tail, it's just, I hate to see that for a series anyway. Imagine, and Oda's mentioned many times before, in One Piece, he knows where it's going, he knows how he wants to end it. Imagine if, Oda ended the series and it literally ended with, Luffy just taking a shit on the toilet, and he just said, I had no fucking idea how to end this, so he just took a shit in the toilet, that's just how he was and all that, and he just smiles off and says, our eternal adventures of One Piece goes flush down the toilet, You don't do that. Like, and like so many series now that you think about just like whether or not they're rushed or whether they're like being forced to ending, and Fairy Tail never really did have any of that. It had like sort of like a countdown at the end where it said it had like one last volume to wrap things up, and like some of it was rushed, but even still for the last chapter you could have maybe done something. And that's the thing, it's like whether he does next, I am going to be checking it out, but regardless, I'm going to be going a little bit, after everything and all that, Fairy Tail's like last part and all that, I enjoyed way much of like the first half of the series, and like definitely is like there's some great parts and all that in the second half, but a lot of it does kind of become questionable. So I want to know like whether or not like with the new series he's mentioning, or like whether or not anything's going to come out of that. I'm still going to be watching season 3. I'm still going to be enjoying it for what it is. There's going to be some great moments, but a lot of us are wondering, are they going to change stuff with like the ending? We've seen this before with other shows where they've had filler endings, or they've had stuff to add out to, you know, fluff and all that. Like mainly one of the most like, notable ones being that is Yu Yu Hakusho and Naruto, especially. Naruto's last like kind of episode in the anime is filler. It is filler. It's Naruto Hinata's wedding for the most part, and I know some of that's in the novel, like in the light novels and stuff, but that's nothing to do with the main story whatsoever. And then you have to consider many more side parts of the series, like the Naruto the Last, like you got that, the Boruto movies and all of that stuff, and it's like I just kind of want one series to be its own main thing, but I think when it gets so fucking big, it has to have all these side things where it's like, oh, you get this little part. At the end of the day, I just want the main series just to have this nice little fucking ending. Don't need to have like this little bit more of the context or anything. Just make it like that, and that's all I want at the end of the day. But I'm very curious to see what you guys think and all that. What do you think about like Hiro Mashima not like really having any idea about the ending at all? Like he's saying, don't know about that, and you think he's kind of holding out for like some of the stuff that you want from Fairy Tail fans, so he can like say, hey, here you go guys and all that, here's something you want to go and all that. Like, so that's all for me though. Thank you as always for watching, and I'll see you guys though next time.